Isang magandang araw po muli sa inyong lahat mga kaibigan and welcome once again to your Legal Forum. Today we shall be tackling our last problem situation for this week kung saan pag-uusapan po natin ang kwento ng isang gun collector. Tingnan natin ang kwento nitong si Jerry. Jerry likes to collect guns. Madalas nga po nag-a-attend siya ng mga gun showcase kapag siya ay nalilibre. And he also likes talking to people who have the same interest that he has. Lahat ng kanyang mga baril ay pawang may lisensya. It is indicated in the license that he owns said guns, that the guns are registered at ang mga baril na ito ay hindi pwedeng ilabas sa kanyang tahanan. On one occasion, inimbitahan itong si Jerry na mag-attend isang gun showcasing event sa Cebu and he was requested to bring along some of his vintage guns kung kaya't excited naman si Jerry na ipakita ito sa iba. However, he is very much concerned na baka daw siya mahuli na dala-dala ang mga naturang baril while transporting it to said event. Kaya't nais ngayon malaman itong si Jerry. If the license issued to a gun owner indicates that possession of the guns would only be allowed inside the residence of said gun owner, would there be a violation if these guns are taken outside the home? In the event that he gets caught while transporting his guns, ano naman daw po ang posible na criminal charges na maaring isampa laban sa kanya? And posible daw po ba na palitan ang kanyang lisensya para mapayagan siya na dalhin ito sa labas? We will know the answers to all of these questions right after this break. Balik po tayo sa ating programang Legal Forum, mga kaibigan. Kanina nga po ay pinag-uusapan natin ang concerns nitong si Jerry and the following are the questions that have been raised. If the license issued to a gun owner indicates that the possession of these guns would only be allowed inside the gun owner's home, meron daw po bang violation kapag ito inilabas ng bahay? In the event na mahuhuli siyang tinatransport ang kanyang mga baril, ano ang posibleng criminal charges na isasampa laban sa kanya? And would it be possible to have the license daw po changed para naman daw mailabas niya ang naturang mga baril? Joining us once again, friends, to help us answer all of these questions is my very special guest for this week, Atty Tabujara. Isang magandang araw muli sa iyo, Tiki.
Hi, Atty. Jody.
Okay, ayan na. The license has been issued to his various guns at nakalagay doon inside the home of the owner lamang, bawal ilabas. So ano daw po ang magiging violation kapag nilabas niya sa kanyang tahanan, like bringing it inside his car? Would the car be considered an extension of his home?
No. Actually, ang conditions ng license is that it should only be kept inside your residence. Ngayon, pag ilabas mo to, you need a special permit to transport outside of your residence or tinatawag na PTC FOR. Kung wala kayo nun, bringing the firearm, even if it's licensed, outside of your residence will subject you to criminal liability. Yung kotse, hindi considered as your residence yon. So, pag linabas mo sa kotse, yung licensed gun, wala kang PTC for, you're still liable for a criminal offense.
Hindi ba pwedeng sabihin niya, dadalhin ko lang naman po sa isang exhibit, i-display lang naman po yung mga baril ko, wala naman po akong tinangkang masama?
Pag ordinaryong tao po, that's not allowed, no? That's only a privilege given to gun dealers, no? Licensed gun dealers who want to display their guns in gun shows, no? So may special may special permission from the PNP. But if you're an ordinary person and you have several guns, you want to display them publicly outside of your residence, hindi po pwede yun. It's not allowed by the law.
Okay, para kasing nananakot ka na, marami akong baril. Sige, subukan yung pumasok dito. Okay, so ayan na ngayon, nabanggit mo na may criminal liability. Ano bang violation ito sa ilalim ng batas kapag naglabas ka ng baril outside of your home and carrying it to the mall or kung saan man?
Well, pag walang lisensya, you're liable for illegal possession of firearms, which is a criminal penalty of 6 to 12 years imprisonment. Ngayon, kung meron lisensya yung baril at wala kang permit to carry outside of your residence, ang crime is still illegal carrying of the firearm but mas mababa ang penalty, which is about 3 years imprisonment.
Gaano ba kahirap magkaroon ng isang permit to carry firearm outside of residence?
Napakahirap po. In fact, now we're complaining because napakahigpit ng PNP sa pag-issue ng mga permit to carry firearms outside of residence. So, you have to have a clearance from the intelligence service You have to have your NBI clearance, court clearances, drug test, Euro test, and so many other tests. And in the final analysis, ang magde-decide talaga dyan is the Chief PNP, who is the sole authority to issue permits to carry firearms outside of residence.
Okay, ilang baril ka ba pwedeng, up to how many guns can you own inside your home?
That's a controversial question. Pero under the new law, Republic Act 10591, you are allowed as many firearms as you want as long as they're all licensed.
Okay, because there was a time, if I'm not mistaken, when I was still hosting the police hour, meron silang sinasabi na you can have one short arm and one long arm, parang hanggang doon lang.
That was already amended by the recent law last year, which was passed by President Aquino, which is RA 10591, which says that you can own up to more than 15 firearms, provided you have a special type 5 license, which will be granted to you as a special collector.
Okay. Yun, pag nangongolekta ka lang, no?
Yes.
Kasi who in his right mind would really want to have so many guns in his house?
Well, it's not actually that uncommon because over the years, some people have been purchasing firearms and it accumulates, no? Hindi na mabibenta. So just like a car, just like any other thing, no? Item, it accumulates over the years. Minsan di naman nagagamit, but still it's there. So the law respects that right.
Ikaw, Tiki, if you don't mind answering the question, how many guns do you have?
I have 3.
Konti lang pala. Ano yun? May long hand ka? Ay, long hand ba tawag dyan?
One rifle
Long
and 2
arm.
pistols, and I have also an air rifle. Ang hili ko talaga is airsoft o air guns.
O, yun yung pinanghuhuli mo ng mga daga, di ba?
Which is what I use to do target shooting.
Yun naman pala. For target shooting. Ako, I can't even recall when was the last time I went target shooting. Parang ang tagal na parang nabingi yung aking mga tenga.
You should try it. It's very stress
No,
reliever.
I was told nga that I should pursue it kasi ang galing ko daw mag-triangulate and I was using a 357 Magnum na talaga ang recoil talaga ang sakit. Hindi ko naman alam para ko ginawa yun. But anyway, not for the time being. Well, with that, friends, we end another week of the serious side of this program. That wasn't so serious, right? Talking about guns. And now let us move on to the lighter side of things. Hello, Tiki. It's been nice, Facebook friend kami ni Tiki forever. Pero ngayon lang kami nagkita ulit after so many years. We used to work together also in the same law firm. O yan, mga kami, alipin kami at doon kami natuto at naging magaling na abogado. Daw. Okay, so ayan na, Tiki. Apart from this gun thing, mamaya na yung gun na yan. Dito muna tayo sa father. Kasi tuwan-tuwa ako pag nakikita ko yung pictures ninyo ng anak mo. Ito di ba, he just graduated, I understand, from 6th grade. Wag na natin mentionin ng school for his protection also. And ang pogi ng anak mo, ha? Buti na lang nagmana sa ano.
Well, actually, it's a very good opportunity for me to mention also that I'm a single father.
Yes.
And I'm also an advocate also for single parents. And I believe that I've been raising my son in the proper manner since he was 2 years old. And I don't think that being a single parent is a handicap because you can actually raise your children properly by being a single parent as long as you're a responsible parent.
Hindi talaga ako rin, di ba? O mula wag na lang natin pag-usapan. Basta graduate na po ako dyan. Okay, so ayan ngayon, nabalitaan ko naman, syempre in the news ka naman ngayon dahil nagsampa kayo ng kaso laban dito sa bagong mga implementing guidelines nga dito sa mga lisensya. And syempre, nasa watch list ka ngayon ng PNP. Kung saan-saan ka nagpupunta, dito po siya ngayon sa legal forum. Okay, so there were 3 points that you actually raised. One nga is there seems to be a provision there that you will waive something and the PNP can now enter your home if you are a gun owner, ano? And the other one is the centralization of the issuance of licenses na dito na gagawin ngayon sa Metro Manila. So, ang hirap para doon sa mga tao nakatira in very far-flung areas. And finally, that the licenses will be sent back via courier service. And buti sana kung napakagandling ng ating courier services dito na mabilis kung minsan talaga sumasablay and therefore there may be problems na nag-expire na yung existing license tapos hindi pa dumadating yung bagong lisensya. So ano na ngayon ang status? When did you file the case at what do you expect to happen next? Will there be a TRO issued?
Yes, actually, I'd like to announce that we filed the case into the Supreme Court against the PNP as an institution. No? There's nothing personal against anyone. We're not suing anyone in his personal capacity. We're after the policies. No? Number 1 policy is in the implementing rules and regulations of RA 10591, there is a requirement that before you can register a firearm, you have to sign a waiver or consent for the PNP to enter your house and inspect the firearm, which we feel is an unreasonable search and seizure in violation of Article 3, Section 2 of the Constitution. Now, there's also a requirement of all the satellite offices of the licensing registration have been closed, no? And everybody has been required from all over the country. There are 1.5 million gun owners who are required to go to Camp Crame and Quezon City and renew their licenses there. No? So it's a burden, if not impossible, for everybody from all over the country, 1.5 million people, to make the exodus and go all the way to Quezon City to renew their licenses. And the last point that we raised was approved licenses are delivered by courier service by the PNP, which we do not agree with or we do not want, because the courier services are inefficient and sometimes the license never arrives, thus prejudicing the owner, no, na wala siyang lisensya during the time na hindi na di-deliver yung lisensya niya. So yun lang ang 3 points namin. And we're confident, no, and hopeful that the Supreme Court will issue a TRO. It's still pending. And they're discussing the case right now, but we feel that we have a case, no, in our favor.
Ako medyo bothered ako sa first two. Yung last, medyo pwede na palusutin. Pero yung first talaga, yung papapasukin mo sa bahay mo at any time, medyo mahirap na yun.
Well, we have to remember that the requirement in the Constitution against unreasonable searches and seizures was made or put there specifically to prevent abuses by the police. And these are the same people who are now trying to assert their right to enter our houses, no, to inspect our house. And there could be a lot of abuses na once they enter your house, hindi lang baril lang hahanapin, they look at your other personal effects and other items, which we feel is also a violation of our privacy.
Yes, and the centralization, parang what the message that is being sent across is that wala kayong tiwala dun sa mga regional offices ninyo.
Yes, that was the reason given, that they closed all the offices because they claim that all the regional offices were not efficient or corrupt. But we don't agree with that, because the PNP has been licensing guns since the 80s, no? And it's only now that they claim to have discovered that there were problems, and we find that far-fetched, no? It seems to be parang hindi logical.
Naku, delikado naman yan. Pag inamin mo that the people are handling it are all inefficient and corrupt or incompetent, they change them or do something about the system. Ibig sabihin, wala na madedeploy ng mga tao na hindi kayang i-corrupt.
Well, that's one thing that we're also arguing against, because it's effectively saying that all our gun licenses, which were issued since the 80s or 90s, are all the product of corruption, and we don't agree with that, because we went through the process, we had all the requirements submitted, and they were approved. And so nobody can say later on, 15 years later, that all our licenses are the product of corruption. That's not true.
Okay. So, my last question before we call it a day. What is it about guns that made you a gun enthusiast?
Well, I've been shooting since 1972. I got my first gun when I was 7 years old. And believe it or not, both my parents were anti or against guns. No, they're anti-military. They don't. I was supposed to enter PMA, but my parents didn't allow me. And over the years, the interest accumulated to such an extent that as a youth, or even as an elementary, high school, and college student, I was reading a lot about firearms. No, I would buy books from abroad, read about the firearms, and it gained. I gained so much knowledge about it that I decided that maybe I should do an advocacy about it, and this is what Pro-Gun is all about.
Okay, so good luck sa inyong existing na pinaglalaban ng mga prinsipyo, Tiki. I do hope that this gets settled soon, kasi there are really medyo questionable nga naman, medyo I see potential loopholes talaga in this particular rules and regulations. At sana maiayos, and who can change this ba?
Well, the person who signed it was the Chief PNP, General Purisima.
Okay.
But I understand that by way of administrative agency, the President or the Secretary of the DILG, who are above the PNP, could do something about it.
Ayun naman pala. So there's still a next step to be taken. Baka sakali lang, no? Pwede pang ma-overturn ang certain provisions na medyo may question until such time na mariresolve muna. Thank you, Tiki, for helping us out once again. And I do hope na wag naman guns next time. Iba naman.
Thank you, thank you.
Mag-guest ka ulit sa ating program.
Thank you.
Salamat. And once again, friends, we would like to thank everyone for your continued support for our program. Maraming salamat din po kina Tata Panerio and of course, Jessie Cardenas. They're both from the Peak Salon by Bioessence, located at the second level of the Link, Ayala Center, Makati City. And you can reach Tata at 0916-213-7689. And of course, again, wala po si Cecil, absent po si Cecil na fashion passion for this week. So thank you again to my closet for all my beautiful, good clothes. Mga ganun na lang, ano? Wala na kasing mahanap na ibang damit. And sa inyo pong muling lahat, maraming salamat po sa inyong patuloy na pagsubaybay dito sa ating programa. Until next week then, friends, I do hope you have a most relaxing and enjoyable weekend. Pero wag na wag po natin kakalimutan, ignorancia legis neminem excusat. Ignorance of the law excuses no one from compliance therewith. I'm Attorney Georgie Alonso.